program has positively impacted beneficiaries' livelihoods, contributing to the overall national socio-economic transformation. The government of Uganda has continued to fulfill its commitment to the expansion and sustainability of the SAGE program, ensuring income security, dignity, and improved basic standard of living for older persons in all local governments across the country.
Haji Kasim Muyinda, Omuluka Mpumiro, Egombolola Bulange, district Namutumba. Amawulire ago nasomako mu mawulire ne mpulira ni ku radio. Akasente kano kuba nagulamu enkoko yazaala nenfunamu n'akabuzi nenfunamu ne sente zensobola.
Uganda goes to the polls 2026, 2 days left until the 15th of January 2025. Are you ready? Are you looking forward? Welcome to the show. In case you're just joining us, you're welcome. This is Good Morning Uganda on UBC TV. And in case you started the show with us, thank you very much and always welcome. And in case you found us along the way, you're still welcome. And thank you so much for choosing UBC TV this morning. My name is Julie F. Nataba, and what other conversation are we having apart from election-related conversation? What every voter needs to know is what we are looking at this morning. 0709602592. It's the WhatsApp number that you should engage and be part of the conversation. In studio with me, two gentlemen. One I would like to almost call a presenter because every Monday he blesses us with his time by educating Ugandans on voter education. And another who is sharing very important information, and that is regarding election observation. Studio with me, I do have Mr. Mugweri Geoffrey, who is the PRO of 3N Consultants. I also do have Mr. Chigozi Hussein, who is an election expert from Global Election Observation Missions. And with Mr. Chigozi, we are looking at everything regarding election observation. You have a question, you have an opinion, let's learn and relearn together via 0709602592. I'll start with Mr. Chigozi. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Right.
Yeah, my name is Chigozi Hussein Sevagala from Global Election Observation Missions, and we do observe elections globally.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chigozi. Mr. Mugweri, good morning.
Good morning, Julie, and our dear viewers. I don't know whether it is still appropriate to wish you a Happy New Year.
It is. It is.
Happy New Year to everyone. It's always a pleasure. We are actually now in the very last lap of this exercise of elections. I can see the enthusiasm, the anxiety, the excitement. We are there.
All mixed emotions in there, and we'll definitely cross the bridge and get to the other side of life. As it is, Uganda remains, as my previous guests have made mention. Mr. Chigozi, yes, please. Let's start with what election observation means. It's a word we use, it's something that we talk about, but to our viewer, what exactly does it mean?
Thank you very much, Julie. When we talk about election observation, basically, we are looking at monitoring the whole election process, starting from the demarcation of demarcation of the polling stations. We talk about the display of voter registers. We are looking at the nomination of candidates and everything that comes along that way. Yeah, so basically we are monitoring the whole election process. Yes, please.
So why is it important for you to monitor the whole election process? Because, I mean, we have the Electoral Commission doing that.
Exactly. And now when it comes to our observation, basically we as observers, we are creating confidence in the people. The people of Uganda need to know that they are organizations or they are members that have come on board. Actually, it's not something that we are just doing, but we are accredited by the Electoral Commission itself to do this whole process. Yeah, so we are there to create confidence. Actually, if any voter or if the voters happen to see observers at the different polling stations, then they have confidence that if at all I'm seeing an observer, then there is not going to be anything like maybe intimidation or any malpractice of elections that may incur during the whole process. So we are basically like the ambassadors. Yeah, we are ambassadors that are trying to show the people that we are going to report and make recommendations at the end of the day.
Right, and one would wonder, because being that you are accredited by the Electoral Commission,
yes,
one would wonder how independent shall your observation be and how independent shall your report be at the end of the whole process?
Well, Julie, you see that we as observers, first of all, one of our principles is that we are impartial. We are neutral, okay? We monitor, we observe, we record our findings, and at the end of the day, we make reports, okay? These reports have recommendations within them, which we tend to give to the Electoral Commission and all the political parties that are being involved in the whole electoral process. So at the end of the day, after viewing our reports, of course, the Electoral Commission makes changes too, as far as our recommendations are concerned. Yeah.
Very profound. 0709602592. Engage and be part of the conversation. Mr. Mugweri, 2 days left. How best should one be prepared within this period?
Thank you so much. Like I said in my introductory remarks, is that we have moved a long way. It is quite a long, it's a process, and we are now coming to the climax of this election process. Now, what happens is that we are remaining with actually 2 days to go to the polls. And I want to remind the viewers that elections are not ending on 15th. There is a tendency of being excited, and then after 15th, some people don't turn up to vote. On 15th, we are actually going to the polls. We are going to have an opportunity to choose our leaders at different levels. But specifically on 15th, we shall have elections for the president, for the directly elected member of parliament, that's the constituency member of parliament, and the woman member of parliament. Then on 22nd, we shall have elections for the local council chairpersons and the councillors, up to 4th, I think up to 4th February. So what happens is that now, people have been prepared. We have kept on engaging the public on what is supposed to be done. Officially, the campaigns are stopping tomorrow. That would be 12th. Because by law, campaigns are supposed to stop, I think, 48 hours to polling. Now, if we are going to polls on Thursday, that means the campaigns are stopping on 12th.
13th, in other words.
Yeah, 13th actually, which is tomorrow. Now, it is something very simple. I want to implore Ugandans that we have come a long way, and we are now going to have an opportunity to have leaders at different levels. On Thursday, which is 15th of this month, what you have to do is simply go to your respective polling station where you registered from. Now, when you reach the polling station, and I want to make an appeal that please try to reach your polling stations as early as you can. Polling starts at 7 in the morning and stops at 4. Now, once you reach the respective polling stations, you will be guided by the polling officials, by the Electoral Commission officials, who will first of all, after you presenting either the national identification card or the voter location slip, so that you can now be identified whether you appear on the National Voters Register. Once you have presented yourself, and if you do not have any of the two, either the national ID or the voter location slip, the presiding officer will help you guide on how they can be identified. You can be identified whether you appear on the national register. And once you have been verified, of course, you are going to be verified using the biometric voter verification kit, which we have talked about here severally. And once you have, your identity has been confirmed that actually you belong to that polling station, you are in the national register, they will issue with a ballot. And that ballot will go through the scan, still through the BVK, to ensure that actually there is no fraud. And you'll be guided. After that, you have to go to the Benson. You make a choice. Remember, on that day, we are voting for 3 categories of leaders. That is the president, the MP, who is for the constituency, and the woman member of parliament. So you'll be issued with 3 ballots, respectively. And once you finish making your choice, you'll be guided on how to fold that lengthwise, the ballot. You go and place it in the box. After that, you will be still guided by the polling official to go and place an ink on your thumb to confirm that actually you have voted and you can now not vote another time. That will be as simple as that. But I want to encourage people to turn up in big numbers. It is your right. Please go and exercise. Go and exercise your right to choose a leader.
Right, and as you've just seen on your screen, I hope it's displayed again, it's really the voting times that we are expected to operate under. Polling stations open at 7 a.m. Voting continues from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. and polling closes at 4 p.m. and then counting begins immediately after the last voter. Mr. Mugweri, someone might wonder, in case the queue is still on by the time 4 p.m. clocks, shall those on the queue be allowed to vote?
Well, like we have kept on emphasizing, the law is very clear. Polling starts at 7 in the morning and closes at 4. Now, what happens, that is why we are encouraging people to be at the polling stations a little bit earlier. Now, once you are in the queue, by 4, whoever will be in the queue, who has already gone through the process of being verified as a voter, they have scanned the ballot, now he's in the queue going to cast his vote. Certainly he will vote. What happens is that by 4, the process of identifying a person who has just come will have stopped. But once you have gone through these processes and you are simply in the queue waiting to go and cast your vote, you will certainly vote. Yeah.
And as you can see, anyone in line by 5 p.m. won't be allowed to vote. So as they say that Africans are not so good with time, I think that statement should change, because any human created by God should be good with time. It's something as simple as something that we need to learn how to steward. Now, away from matters time, let me come to you, Mr. Chigozi, and let's look at the qualifications of an election observer, one required to conduct election observation. What qualifications are required to handle this job?
When it comes to election observation, first of all, you have to be accredited by the Electoral Commission. Many people actually, for this particular exercise, courtesy of voter education, over 50 organizations were accredited. So the minimum requirements they should possess is that they should be accredited by the Electoral Commission. We are given this we have actually laws. Talk about the Commission Act, the Presidential Act, and the Parliamentary Act. all these are laws that are giving us credibility to be accredited by the Electoral Commission. Yes, please.
Very profound. And I think this should be a question I should ask Mr. Mugweri. On the polling day, as you've been educating us on how we get to the polling station, who we interact with, but which other people are we expected to see, lest anyone causes chaos, that person might be trying to rig votes? For example, I believe an election observer could be at a polling station just to study what is going on. And in case the electorate see that extra human being who's seated doing nothing in their perspective, they might, go up in arms. So just share a bit of who we are supposed to see, anyone other than the ones that we've been talking about throughout the whole season.
Thank you so much, Julie. What happens is that the process of voting has got various stakeholders, and we are yet to see, we are going to interact with many stakeholders in the process. We have the polling officials, obviously. Those are the Electoral Commission officials, the presiding officers. Even the returning officers at times keep making rounds in the various areas of jurisdiction to confirm and monitor what is happening, to supervise their lower officials who are conducting the elections. Now, we shall have security, certainly. There is a police constable who is going to be at every polling station. By law, a police constable is there to guide and to regulate law and order, to keep peace, to keep law and order. We are going to have, like my brother here, we shall have the elections observers. The law mandates Electoral Commission to accredit dignified organizations with experience to monitor what is happening. The essence of having elections observers is actually two-way. One, it's a neutral body which is mandated by law to come and monitor the whole process. Like he was talking about, they started from demarcation of the polling stations. Now, why do we have to have these stakeholders all around? For example, the observers, they are coming to monitor and update on what has happened. They are going to come up with reports, and the report is actually expected to be very objective. It is supposed to actually enhance on the operations of the Electoral Commission. If there are any other weaknesses, if there are shortcomings, it is through those observations that they will actually have to deal with the shortcomings which could have to improve for improvement in the further elections. We shall have the voters. These are stakeholders. So we shall interact with different people at the polling stations. I don't want to imagine that there should be any worry when you have seen. First of all, even whoever will be there will be identifiable, apart from maybe the voters. But even the voters are going to be identified before they can be accessed to be issued with the ballots. The observers will have the tags. Every official will have, even the police constable will be clear knowing that this is a police constable and he or she is charged with a specific responsibility. So the public should not have any worry. And in case of any individual causing issues, causing commotion, certainly there are provisions of how to manage that situation.
All right. Yeah. It's the agenda on Good Morning Uganda here on UBC TV, and we have a few days left until Uganda casts its first vote. And what we're looking at is what you should know as a voter. In studio with me is Mr. Mugweri Geoffrey, who is the PRO of 3N Consultants Limited, and also Mr. Chigozi Hussein, who is an election expert from Global Election Observation Mission. Be part of the show, 0709602592. Mr. Chigozi, yes, please. What stages of this election process do observers monitor?
Thank you very much, Julie. Like I told you initially, we start from, actually we have 3 phases involved in elections. We have the pre, we have during elections, and then we have the post election. So during the pre, we are talking about demarcation, okay? We are talking about display of voter registers, okay? Now, some of the voters tend to think that it's by default that if I have a national ID, then I'll vote by default. But it's not just that, because people are always moving, right? For example, you may be living in a certain constituency, then after some time you do what? You relocate. So it's not by default that when you relocate, you are going to do what? You are going to be eligible to vote in that particular place. So we look at display of voter registers. Have the voters really managed to get on ground and see whether they have to vote in these specific areas they have gone to? Then we have during elections where we talk about the nomination of the candidates. Okay, we look at political parties. Have political parties been able to send the person they really feel like is capable of bringing out their manifesto or bringing out whatever they think is eligible for the voters? Then we'd also look at post. Now, most of the times we have intimidations, you understand. After elections, there is a lot of violence that goes on in the country. So we are monitoring all of that, okay? During the election time, are the voters treated equally? Is there any intimidation? Understand? Is security really enforcing keeping land order, or there is intimidation? You understand? Because many of the voters at different polling stations tend to come out and say that security was this, security was that. So we are monitoring, we are looking at these things, we are recording, and after we report via legible channels. Yeah.
Are those channels allowed to make mention of? The legible channels?
Basically the Electoral Commission.
Oh.
Yeah, the Electoral Commission. Because whatever findings we do, whatever reports we do, like Mr. Mugari said, these reports are really objective. Okay, so we as Global Election Observation Missions and any other observer organizations that are on board, we are trying to make recommendations to the Electoral Commission. And we are of the view, or we think that in the near future, if at all these recommendations are put into place, because we also look at the loopholes, you understand? Of course, in every election there are loopholes. But with us making observations and recommending, and the EC trying to act as per these recommendations, then we believe we are going to have a better Uganda. Because if you look at one of our countries, the voters, the number of people who voted was around 98%. One of the countries went to observe here in Africa, okay? And here in Uganda, we have almost 21.6 million voters, you understand? And you may go into statistics and find that only 11 million people voted.
It's been the trend.
Yeah, that's why we have people like Mr. Mugari coming on board, trying to sensitize, doing the voter education, so that a voter actually needs to come on board. Because you'll agree with me, Julia, that if you don't go to vote, okay, and I go and vote, that means I'm going to decide the type of leader that I want. And after that, you're going to come and you complain, okay? I never voted for this person and this person is, but you refuse to do your responsibility, because it's a mandate to you as a Ugandan to come and decide who is supposed to be your leader. So if you don't play your role, your objective, then at the end of the day, you'll just complain, but nothing will have changed.
In other words, you've allowed me to make your decision.
Exactly, exactly.
And Mr. Chigozi makes a point there of how our election or voter turn-up is still low. It's quite the trend. I hope this time around it changes. But just 2021 alone, we had 18 million, over 18 million registered voters, and a little over 10 million turned up to vote. And it was the same trend even in 2016. We had over 15 million voters registered, and 10,329,131 turned up to vote. So therein, it's something that happens, that we register to vote, but when it comes to the polling day, we never turn up. 0709602592, WhatsApp number that you should engage and be part of the conversation. And to get into some of your comments, good morning, Uganda. This is Wonyaka James. Just a few questions. Can someone vote when he or she does not have a national ID but has a NIN number? Over to you, Mr. Mugwe.
Well, certainly the NIN number is very important. In the event that you have not moved with your physical national ID, I think the NIN number can still be used. But we have said that even without the national ID, as long as you have the voter location slip, we started calling upon Ugandans to go and pick the voter location slips. The essence is that that location slip is going to help you, first of all, go to the right polling station. The polling stations were splitted, and the last time we were here with Mr. Kenya, the deputy spokesperson for Electoral Commission, gave the reasons why they splitted those polling stations, because they wanted to reduce on the numbers. So you are supposed to have picked, please, if you have not yet picked your voter location slip, you can even access it online. You can have it and to direct you on where exactly you're supposed to go and cast your vote. So once you have that one, in the event that you have not moved with your national ID, then the voter slip will work. But since you have talked about having the NIN, the NIN still can be used to identify you biometrically.
Right. Good morning, Julie. What is the importance of coming very early in the morning, and case if everyone comes in? I wonder what you meant. Joseph, you're on Sentema Road. Please send your question again for us to be able to interpret it and respond effectively. Thank you so much for being on the show. Good morning, Uganda. What about we security guards? Can we be allowed to vote from anywhere because we cannot leave work? Viewing your show from Banda, Kampala. Still over to you, Mr. Mugwe.
Thank you so much. That one is quite obvious, but let me try to expound a bit. If given the nature of your work as a security personnel, depending on where they have deployed you, it is very unlikely that unless maybe if you have first of all voted from your polling station, then you go to work. Otherwise, if you are a registered voter, for example, from here at UBC, and you have been deployed, for example, in Natete, to work in Natete, and you're supposed to report there in the morning, I wonder how you can again vote from Natete, and yet your polling station is UBC. So I think it is not easy. You cannot vote from, first of all, you cannot vote from a polling station where you're not supposed to vote from. It is that polling station where you registered from. Even the biometric verification kit cannot identify you from another polling station where you are not a voter.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, to the electorate observer, the election observer has said that they help the political parties to choose their representatives. Now, what if the party members have chosen a particular person and you people are also not interested in this person? Or how will you guide or help the party members to change the person chosen? This is Wanyaka James. Over to you, Mr. Chigozi.
Thank you, Mr. Wanyaka James. Actually, in my statement, I didn't say that we observers help political parties, but I say that one of the stakeholders are the political parties. Yeah. So we are observing, are they choosing the right person? Okay, because all these are the things that we put into our reports, okay? And at the end of the day, we give each and every political party that participated in the election process, okay, this report, okay? So we do not help you choose. No, it's the political party to come on, but I think that's why we have the vetting, you understand? Yeah. That happened, I think, during the before elections, right? Yeah. So this is part of the processes we are observing. Okay? Yeah. So we do not choose.
Right. More of your comments coming through. Good morning, Uganda. I'm John. Good luck. What considerations have you put in place to cater for emergencies like when it begins to rain heavily and it inconveniences the voters moving to polling stations, and yet by closing time, they'll definitely come through late. When such happens, only half of the voters have completed the exercise. You are only emphasizing the casting of votes. How will the results be transmitted in a transparent manner that will satisfy all the stakeholders of the vote? Can you substantiate what will happen after one has finished voting? Is one allowed to keep around if one is observing observing from a recommended distance? I think all of this would go to you, Mr. Mugweri.
Thank you so much, Julie, and the person has raised that concern. First of all, I think his concern is about the transmission of the results. But before the results are transmitted, let's talk about the counting. Let's talk about the process of voting. By law, every candidate is supposed to have 2 agents who are supposed to be at the polling station. And the essence of having agents at the polling station is to take care of his interests, so that he or she confirms that actually the whole process is free and fair. The whole process is transparent, there is accountability. All the stakeholders are actually doing their work. That is why we even have the observers at the polling stations moving around. Now, a candidate having agents at the polling station, those agents are going to ensure that there is nothing fraud, there is no fraud taking place which may actually be against his or her candidate. Now, once the whole process has ended, the polling has ended, they start counting the votes. In the presence of the agents and in the presence of whoever will be around at the time of closing the elections. Everything is done transparently. There is what we call declaration forms. Once the votes are counted, every agent is given a copy of the declaration forms of results. For example, if I'm representing Julie is my candidate and I'm representing her at polling station B, I am going to leave that polling station duly signed declaration forms indicating the amount of votes my candidate has gotten. Not only my candidate, but all the participants in that election, or the candidates. Now, the presiding officer transmits those declaration forms to the next level, up to the district, where there is a tally center, for example, if it is at the district level. Now, the whole process is monitored, is done in broad daylight, and in the presence of many people. I don't want to imagine that there should be any alteration of results along the way. And for even the Shirud actual candidates, they have even made provisions to ensure that they monitor and escort. They go up from the polling station up to where they are going to tally the result from at the district tallying office. Now, we are imagining that since there are many stakeholders who are even observing, who are taking care of all the interests in the whole polling process, I don't want to imagine that there should be any worry. Because there is representation at every level.
Right.
And once the results have been taken to the district elections office at the tallying center, wherever they will have formed the tallying center at the district, they will start tallying polling station per polling station, parish per parish, sub-county, until they declare the final results. And I want to also emphasize this. It is only the Electoral Commission which is mandated by law to declare the official results in an election. Candidates at times make mistakes. They get excited. Actually, the declaration forms results, the forms which have the results are very critical. You may go through the process of engaging the voters and you have actually gotten the votes, but make sure the DR forms are secured, you have got a record of them, and once you reach the tally center, there's nothing which can be manipulated. Yeah.
A very profound and detailed submission there. 0709 602 592 is the WhatsApp number that you should engage and be part of the conversation. What every voter needs to know as we head to the 2026 general elections, opening on the 15th of January, which will be a Thursday this week, 2026. A lot that you need to know, a lot that you need to revise in order to be ready for that day. In studio with me is Mr. Mugweri Geoffrey, who is a PRO of 3N Consultants, alongside Mr. Chigozi Hussein, who is an election expert from Global Election Observation Missions. And staying with you, Mr. Chigozi, what methodologies do election observers use as they take on their monitoring system?
Thank you very much, Julie. We have different methodologies that we use, one of which is we collect data, okay? That's by recording, okay? After collecting this data, we sit down as an organization. We have a form, okay, that we use in the field, when we are in the field, okay? So this form is like a questionnaire, okay, that we use to collect data. Now, after collecting this data, we go back, we sit as an organization, and after sitting, we come up with a report that we draft, and after drafting this report, we submit it to the Electoral Commission. Yes, please.
Reading more of your questions coming through, and thank you so much for being on the show. Mr. Mugweri, one was asking, is one allowed to keep around if one is observing from a distance after casting their ballots?
Thank you so much. There has been a lot of controversy over what is going to happen after somebody casting his or her vote.
Right.
I will stick to what the law says, but I will also expound more relating to the practice, what has been the practice and what is convenient. Whereas the law requires, actually it states that after casting the vote, it is not mandatory, but if anyone wished to stay around and monitor what is happening, it has to be 20 meters from the polling station. I think even the Electoral Commission chairperson has guided on that. Now, I do not want to imagine that actually we should be having a lot of excitement about that. Imagine at the polling station if we have 500 voters and by chance maybe 490 voters have turned up. Do you want to imagine that all those people are going to stay at the polling station from morning up to when they're counting the votes? It is practically impossible. Are you not going to engage in other activities? First of all, what provisions are there at the polling stations which are going to make you comfortable? For example, if I appear at the polling station at 7 in the morning, where am I going to access my meals? Are there provisions, given the nature of the polling stations? First of all, if we are so many in a place and maybe the services which are required for us to make us to be comfortable in that place are not sufficient enough, we cannot be comfortable in that place. Nevertheless, we are not saying that it is a must. You must go away or you must stay there, depending on somebody's responsibility. But I want to imagine that many Ugandans have got so many things to do. They can choose to go and cast their votes. Whoever has got what to do, he can still go and do. Then he comes back towards 4 p.m. when they are now going to start the process of what. But the law requires, it has been the case. The law has not just been made. Why we had votes in 2021? Well, why was it not emphasized?
You will be surprised that given that 15th and 16th are a public holiday, many will have the time to stay. And of course, the Electoral Commission has also emphasized that after voting, just leave for purposes of chaos. But of course, many are also insisting on staying on that 20.
Imagine what happens when people have gathered. Others are not. You see, when you have so many people in a particular place, and how orderly are you going to be? Maybe others are actually not very sober. Please, if you have decided to stay around, then be a very peaceful Ugandan and just monitor what is happening without causing any chaos.
Good morning, Uganda. It has been a long journey to election day. Let me pray for peace for our country. Thank you for the show. I'm Monyalo Godfrey. Monyalo for being on the show. Julie, my question is, if everyone comes in the morning, what next? This is Chizito Sentema. In other words, if Over to you, Mr. Mukweli.
I don't know that I've gotten that very well, but assuming is that person trying to say that all the registered voters are going to come at the same time?
Yes.
I don't want to imagine that that one can also be very possible. But if they appeared by morning hours and all of them are there, they'll still be taken through the process. Yeah, they will be taken through the process. They will be issued with the ballots once they are identified by the biometrics. We want to emphasize this time, and the Electoral Commission has made it very clear. It is mandatory to be identified by the biometric verification voter kit.
On that note, do take us through how we are going to interact with the biometric voter verification kits come that day, especially for anyone who had no idea that we are going to interact with it, and lest they got there and started complaining.
Yeah, we have talked about this kit severally, and let me take this opportunity to briefly take you through. This is not the first time we are interfacing, we are interacting with the biometrics. Even in the previous elections, we had the biometrics. The only difference now is that the system has been enhanced. First of all, this time it is mandatory. You will have to be identified through the fingerprints or the facial identities, so that we confirm that actually you are the right voter at that right polling station. And once you appear yourself, you present yourself at the polling station, and you are verified using the biometrics, and that is the fingerprints or the facial. Once the machine indicates green, it means you have been identified as a true voter in the system. Once that process is done, they will issue with the ballot. And for this case, I want to emphasize, even the ballot is going to be scanned through the system, through the kit, to confirm that actually it is the right ballot which is being issued. Now, the purpose of this kit is to ensure that actually one man, one vote, one woman, one vote. This system of having complaints whether maybe somebody has voted several times, I think it is now impossible. It is difficult. You cannot manipulate and bypass the system. Once you have gone through the system and you have been issued with the ballot has also been scanned. Even at the time of counting, they will only count the votes which have actually been scanned. Now, the purpose of that is to ensure that actually somebody has not come with his or her own fake ballots and placed in the ballot in the process of voting. Somebody may come and go through the process. He's a true voter, he's identified by the system, he's issued with the ballots, but maybe he has used his fraudulent means to come with other ballots, fake ballots, and he places those ballots in the box. Now, at the time of counting, these ballots are going to be taken through the system to confirm that actually they were the right ballots, which were assigned for that polling stations, and that they're put in the box rightly. So that is the essence. We are now going to have minimal cases of fraud and multiple voting.
All right.
That is the essence of having this kit.
Right. Over to you, Mr. Chigozi. In regard to election observation, do you think that observing elections actually deters violence and every other negative event that takes place during election days?
Yeah, thank you so much, Julie. I think, yeah, it does, based on the fact that, like I said initially, observers create confidence, not only in the voters, but in any other stakeholder that is on board. An observer is placed or is in a particular polling station, okay, then people are going to be having the confidence that no unnecessary act is going to go on. You understand? Someone will be like, no, I'm seeing an observer. At least the observer is there. You know, so there is that confidence that is, you know, that is evolved within a voter. You understand? Whenever they see an observer, And to anyone who may think or may come on board to do anything that is irrational to the process, okay, may also not be able to do that. Why? Because of the presence of the observer. Yeah, so we create confidence in every voter and also the particular stakeholders involved, courtesy of candidates, political parties, any other member that is a stakeholder in this particular process.
Right. Now, can observers also access the transmission process? Are they able to be part of that process, voting and, you know, towards the transmission process?
No, not really. Yeah, we are there to monitor and observe, basically, because we are impartial, we are neutral, we are not political, non-partisan. Yeah, so ours is just to observe, then recommend.
Right.
Yeah.
Our time is very, very fast spent, but we do have a few minutes to speak into the comments that are coming through, and I'm going to read them all at once so that they are all answered at once. Hello, Uganda. Please educate me on how I can get a voter slip online. Mr. Mugwedi, please do take note of that. Good morning. I'm Musa from Arua. What is the criteria that shall be used to accredit journalists and bloggers at the Tally Center? Because mostly the journalists and bloggers sometimes influence people with fake results. Mr. Mugwedi, please take note of that as well. And hello, assuming I'm in Kampala and my polling station is Palisa or somewhere else far, somewhere else very far, am I supposed to travel to that polling station? Yes, please. You are supposed to travel to that polling station. And if they are to confirm by the fingerprint, then one can vote from anywhere. No, unfortunately not. It's where you are supposed to vote from, where you registered that you must vote from. Good morning, Uganda. I'm Gavas from Kabowa, praying for peace after election, because what I know is voting is going to move smoothly. But tallying and announcing the winner is where attention is calling many. Thank you. Good morning. Please be mindful of the people who come to vote under influence of alcohol. How are we prepared for such scenarios? This is Dennis Shumbusha. Please take note of that as well, Mr. Mugwedi. How sure are big man behind the mic? Okay, I'm not so sure what you're trying to communicate. All right, I'll skip that. Last time I saw EC taking us through the voting process, and I saw them have extra ballots for the spoiled ballot. Why not one voter, one ballot? And we'll start with that, Mr. Mugwedi.
Thank you so much. Like you have said, let us talk about. I think the concern was that why would we have more than some extra ballots at the polling station? I think that one is quite obvious. We are not emphasizing, we are not saying that actually you should go and make mistakes and you request for, but in the event there are some unavoidable circumstances. For example, you can be issued with a ballot paper and accidentally you make a mistake on that ballot paper. You can still have that provision to go and request for another ballot, and even the system will indicate, actually, they will guide you through the process to indicate that actually that ballot was spoiled and you have been issued with another one. So even when they are making accountability of the ballots, that one will clearly be provided for. But that one should not motivate people to go and spoil ballots and then request for more. Right. Because even the extra ones are not so many. I don't want to think that it can really make many. But the reason why there can be some extra is because of such cases. Now, if I can go to, there's a voter who wanted to be guided on how to access the voter location slip online. You have to go and log in on the Electoral Commission website, that is ec.or.ug. You put the voter locator and then you input your name. And then you'll have the voter location slip will be indicated, and if you can print it and get the details. There is a concern which was about accreditation of the journalists and the bloggers. I am not certain whether bloggers are provided for, but the Electoral Commission, what I know is that it has already undertaken the process. It is in the process of accrediting journalists. I think you, Julie, should be aware that all the media houses have got a provision. They have been given a slot. by the Electoral Commission, because you are very important stakeholders in this process. You must keep the public updated on what is happening, and all this is because of accountability and transparency. So we shall have the observers, we shall have the journalists, we have the whole process is in broad daylight and with the various stakeholders taking note of what is happening, and that is for transparency and accountability.
Good morning, UBC TV. We have issues with the RDCs who come with numberless vehicles, beat people and change the DR films. We need peace. This is Samuel from Chengera. Thank you for that note. And indeed, hopefully the authorities responsible have paid heed to that. Good morning, Uganda. Can government provide transport for its workers who work in far-off places to go vote? And hopefully those who are responsible have paid heed to that. Ninsima Lillian says, good morning, dear ones. Good morning to you too. Thank you so much for being on the show. Mr. Chigozi Hussein, your parting shots as an observer.
First of all, I would like to tell each and every Ugandan live at UBS right now that please come out and exercise your right. It is your right to vote. We as observers to stereotype global election observation missions, we are going to be there in different parts. Actually, we are going to be in different parts of Uganda. We have already been allocated to different areas. So we are going to be on almost each and every polling station. So we urge you to please come out and vote. Don't stay home and then you start complaining, yet you let someone choose for you a leader. Come out, your vote is your voice.
Right.
When you come out and exercise your vote, then perhaps things may go as per what you want.
Wish, yes. Yeah. Indeed, your vote is your voice. Mr. Mugweri, your parting shots.
Thank you so much. As I wrap up this discussion, I want to emphasize one thing, that we have chosen peace. We have emphasized that, please, we are going into this process, but this is our country. We need to be patriotic. We need to love Uganda. This is our motherland, and this is a process which comes by after every 5 years. We have kept on emphasizing peace. Let us choose peace. Let us not tear ourselves apart because of elections. First of all, your vote is sacred. Simply go and cast your vote secretly and maintain peace. There is somebody who raised the concern of people who may come at the polling stations when they are actually drunk. I want to appeal to Ugandans. I want to appeal to colleagues who use alcohol. Please, on that day of voting, if you can avoid, you try to be as sober as you can. First of all, once you're drunk, even in the process of voting, you are likely to make a mistake. You are likely to clash with security. You are likely to cause confusion, and you'll end up being apprehended. The law will take course. I want to appeal to Ugandans that, please, this is a process which we have come far. We have kept on emphasizing. We have taken efforts to educate Ugandans on the importance of voting. Turn up in big numbers. Come and vote responsibly. Be peaceful, be calm, and don't make yourself run into trouble because of voting.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Can anyone still go for registration now, or registration was done? It was done a long time ago. What we are going for on the 15th, starting the 15th of January, is to cast our votes. That's it from this edition of Good Morning Uganda and the agenda. Thank you so much for choosing UBC TV. Be blessed.
Of the day on UBC. Was